come in from the garden on a beautiful summer's day, hence in my swimming cosy. Everyone's starving. It seems to be a trend in this house. So I've already started this process, and I thought I'd bring you in at this point. So in my bowl here, I have got 600 grams of turkey breast mince, and into it I've added 2 teaspoons of oregano, half a teaspoon of paprika, salt and pepper, and then I've blitzed up in my trusty hand mixer, and I shall show you it here. So it was 2 onions, 50 grams of parmesan, and a good chunk of fresh basil. And I've put half of that mixture into my little turkey meatballs, along with my oregano and my paprika. The paprika, sometimes you will find a large chunk of onion gets through. The paprika is just to add a bit of depth of flavour. The meatballs, I love the fact they look green. I don't know why I love that, I just do. So you're going to make them into, and obviously I struggle with this bit, bite size, roughly, meatballs. You're going to get probably about 50 out of this. So it's a big meal for 4, or more likely what's going to happen here is it's a meal for 6. We'll eat 2/3 of it for lunch, and then Dan and I'll end up having it for supper tomorrow night when we're starving. So I'm going to continue to roll these up. Just takes a little while. There's no egg or any breadcrumb for binding. You don't need it. The recipe will hold together without the need to do that. With a few wiggles and jiggles, you do not need to use anything to keep it together. And we're going to make it in a tomato and basil sauce, keeping our basil theme quite traditional here. When I first made this, it was a soup with meatballs in it. And then the next time I made it, I added too much pasta and not enough stock, and then realised it comes out just like meatballs and pasta, like the best meatballs and pasta, all done in one pot without having to cook your pasta separately, which quite frankly was a winner. So that's what I'm going to do, so bear with me. I'm going to stop talking down and probably fast my cameraman. We'll no doubt fast forward through some of this now as I roll these meatballs, and then we'll get on with the sauce. So it's a 1-pot dinner, lunch, whatever you want to call it. Trusty spray, in it goes. Now, may need to buy a new one. The other half of the mixture that I did, of the onions, the basil, it's got a little bit of parmesan in here, salt and pepper, that's it, is going to go in while it's still on a relatively low heat. And we're just going to cook the onions off a little bit. This is going to make the best flavoured sauce, is all I can tell you. I've done this recipe lots of different ways. I do a turkey and tomato one at Christmas that has kind of nutmeg and a bit of allspice in it. It's definitely more of a Christmassy feel to it. And then this one I kind of discovered by accident, when, you know what it's like. You've only got certain things in your cupboard or you go to the fridge and you're like, what can I just throw together? And I have a very appreciative audience in this house. They do like to try new things, so I'm pretty lucky. And I threw this one sort of together once, accidentally blitzing and turning the onion into what looks like a weird kind of pesto. I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally put it in the hand chopper by mistake, and then thought, God, that smells amazing. And with the, oh, there's some garlic in there as well. Should mention 2 cloves, just enough to give you a little bit of a, but not to overpower the basil. So literally, because again, you're not using a lot of oil, you just don't want it to burn. We're looking to just sweat the onions off a little bit and infuse the onion, garlic and basil together. And then we're going to throw in tomato elements. So I think I have mentioned this before, probably more than once. I like whole tomatoes, the plum ones. I've also got some tomato puree concentrate because we're going to put stock in too. And tomatoes are still in relatively short supply. in our local supermarket anyway, so I'm being frugal with them. You could add as much as you want in terms of liquid. I would normally probably add 2 cans of tomatoes plus some tomato puree. This is going to work really well, so I'm not worried about it. If you use plum tomatoes as opposed to chopped, you're going to get a sweeter flavour. If all you can get is chopped, it's fine too. Just add a little bit of sweetness and vinegar in to kind of get your spices, get your tomatoes up to what you want. So I'm not going to throw this away, I'm going to fill this with water. We need probably 2 cans of water at least. Again, it's this whole I don't want to make more things dirty than I need to. And also you know that a can of tomatoes is 400 grams, which is going to be approximately 400 ml. So if you want about 800 ml of liquid, which I do, then you're onto a winner by doing 2 cans of water. So I'm just going to break my tomatoes up a bit. They're going to cook for a little while anyway, so whoop, must wear a pinny. The cooking process is going to break them down, but I just want to just mush them a bit. There we go. It starts to come together into a bit more of a sauce, like so. And then I'm going to add in all of this tomato puree. Woo! Whoopsie. Squeeze that a bit hard. Interesting noise effects there, people. In it goes. And then my first can of water. Just going to get my second can of water. And just because I want to get a slightly redder colour, and because I know I've got it in the fridge left over from a recipe that we did yesterday, and just because it tops up my tomato mix in these times of, I'm going to add some passata in. So we used this in a recipe that you're going to see at the weekend, which was a beef short rib recipe that I found and adapted and dietised and did stuff with. Test ran it on the children. Always my biggest critics. I don't know about you guys, but the people closest to you will always tell you what they think. And they came out of their rooms before the meal was ready and started telling me they were starving and what was I cooking. So if they can smell it and it's that good, I'm going to cook it for you guys. We're going to do another fast forward bit now because it gets, you know, a bit repetitive. But what we're going to do is just get this sauce up to a boil, which is going to come to fairly quickly. I can't be bothered to mix stock separately, so I need chicken stock. I've already put water in. My chicken stock's now gone in. Now bearing in mind chicken stock has got salt in it, the way I've just added it in the little plops. So not going to add any salt, pepper, anything like that at this point. That'll be right at the end when everything's cooked. It's definitely going to need a little bit more water because we're going to add raw pasta into it, but I'm going to watch that as it goes. Don't want it too runny, don't want it too thick. So it's just about to come to the boil. Here are all the gorgeous meatballs that I've made, and all you literally do, and I usually do this without that in there, start at the outside and drop them in, submerging them in the water. It's a two-handed job, I'm that quick. Don't burn yourself if it's a metal pan. Just drop them in, keep going concentrically round so that they will submerge, and then do it again into the middle, make another circle, just keep going. When it comes to the boil, which it's going to do quite quickly, you want to slow it down to a simmer, because obviously if you boil it vigorously the meatballs will break up and we don't want that. If you're not sure whether or not you've still got space to add, and trust me there's always more space to add meatballs, don't stir it. Spoon away at this point, people, because if you stir at this point your meatballs will break up. So just using the handles, give it a little shake, not too vigorous because you don't want to wear it, and it will drop all your meatballs in and they'll find space in your pot. So last few meatballs going in into my middle bit, into the circle. Again, just a little shake, make sure all the meatballs are under the water. Bingo, and it's just coming to the boil. Last component in this one pot dish is spaghetti. Meatballs and spaghetti. You want to take, and I'm going to do this a little bit at a time, only because I have pinged myself in the eye doing this before. You want it in small pieces. easier to cook, and if you want to have it more like a soup, it becomes a bit more minestrone-like, but it's also laziness. So just break it up, drop it in. Break it up, drop it in. The meatballs will take 10 minutes to cook. The pasta, you guessed it people, takes 10 minutes to cook. The only thing you're going to need to watch is your water. So again, that's only because, see what I mean about it going everywhere? That's only because you want to check your thickness. If you want a very thick sauce, don't add any more water and keep a look at it. If you want it to be more like a soup, top up some more water and then you can update your seasonings at the end. And that's it. 10 minutes from now, lunch will be ready. The kids will have come down from upstairs because they will have smelt it, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. That's it. So my concoction, my meatballs and my spaghetti have been cooking. I didn't add any extra liquid to this. So the spaghetti is now nice and cold. Cold, that would be weird. Nice and cooked, and it's released its starch into the liquid, which is obviously what's given you a thickening without trying. So this is ready to serve. All I'm going to do is just chop up some more fresh basil, add that in on top, check it for seasoning, salt and pepper, and serve that in a bowl so that we can all chow. And that's it, it's done.